Hello and welcome to Afternoon Equality. My name is Christy, and this is part two of my amazing conversation with Raluca Anghel, who is the Golden Business Coach. So, if you remember from last week, we talked about her move from Romania to Western Europe. This week, we're going to dive a little more into her business and just the conversations around that. So, I'm really glad you're here. Let's get right into it, and bye. I love that. Well, so let's start talking about your coaching because you are a business coach, and I'm curious because you went to school for hospitality, but is your coaching around hospitality or is it different?
So because it was business management with hospitality management, so a lot of course, there were some specifics in hospitality. Like I have a minor in gastronomy. I was taught. I actually had practical curriculums where I was part of fine dining restaurants. I was part of housekeeping teams in hotels. I had the internships. So I have a lot of practical experience. And actually, my background is in hospitality before I became a coach. Even the sales part is still in hospitality. But because the way the curriculum was set, it was a lot of business focus, business acumen. I would say 50% of it, it's business. I don't quite care if it's hospitality or something else. Marketing is marketing. Uh, Selling is selling. Of course, there's some differences, but the principles of actually starting, owning, and managing a business, I learned that in university, and I still use some of those things to this day. Besides the, so it is on my diploma, it's business administration.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. No, that makes total sense. Um, but all right, so kind of going into more than that, you mentioned before how the coaching sphere is kind of dominated by Americans. So why did you choose to or like, well, let's start here. What do you mean by that exactly? That it's kind of dominated by Americans, and then why did you decide to enter into this like coaching sphere?
um, well, okay. So, it's funny because whenever I chat, I don't ever plan what I'm gonna say ever for anything, even for my Instagram lives. So I always go for the comments because I'm a good public speaker. So, but when you asked me that, the first thing was like I didn't choose to go into coaching because it's true to the point that coaching chose me. So throughout my career, I went in. Hospitality management. So very early on, while I was still in university, I became a training manager. So I was training other people how to run restaurants, for example, how to be the service managers, to be in charge of the service runs in the fine dining restaurant we had in the school, and I was even in charge of the housekeeping team. And like, so I had a lot of like I was hired very early on, and I became very fast a restaurant supervisor in the Ritz Carlton brand by the time I was 25. So it was like I worked a lot and grew a lot. Um, and then when it comes to the and then it evolved. I was every single time I was doing something in job related. I remember I was like, okay, this is it. I have to be in, like, example. I have to be in in luxury hotels. Great, I'm in a luxury hotel, and then I'm like, no, not really. Oh, maybe it's because it's family owned. I have to be in big corporations. I'm going for Marriott. Let me join Marriott. Let's join the Ritz Carlton brand, which is their fine dining luxury um, sub brand. I got a job there, amazing. I was recruited before I finished, so super, like, it was a dream. Everybody wanted to be recruited. I was recruited like 1 year before I even finished. Amazing. I have a job. Um, no, I don't like it. No, what's happening? Is it this? Is it that? I think I'm tired of being in the service. I'm gonna go in the sales part. I go into the sales department, which is more like a 9 to 5, because I come from the gastronomy world, which is like you don't have a normal schedule, right? Like you
Right.
work when everybody else is off. So weekends, Christmases, New Year's, I was working everything in my early 20s. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's it. I'm tired. I'm gonna go into sales. I go into a 9 to 5, literally a 9 to 5. I can go home for dinner. Amazing. I have Saturday and Sunday off. What such a luxury. And I'm like, this is not working either. I think I'm done with hospitality. I'm done. Let's move to something else. Oh, okay, I get the job in pharmaceuticals. Sales, pharmaceuticals, 9 to 5. No, no, this is not working. 1 year later, I get hired in a startup. I'm like, okay, startup, it's different. I have so much more ownership. I have to show up. It was a sales commission based, so I could work whenever the fuck I wanted, as long as I was making the quotas. But by the time I was in startup, I already knew like I have to find something, but I wasn't sure if it's gonna be something. I was actually planning to work remotely. I was planning to be employed, but to work remotely because this is when my personal life, I was tired of being away from my loved ones and not being able to go home unless it was those 22 days per year, which you get in most European countries as holidays. But this is when 2019, I realized, okay, I think it's done. I think I have to work for myself. Like after a decade almost of like trying and trying and trying and finding all the excuses and all the things, I was okay. I think I have to be a business owner. I think I can handle this. And I told myself, okay, 2019 is the last year I'm working for somebody else. 2019. 2019 comes almost to an end. It's December. I'm still in the startup job. The startup has a new investor, a new major investor. The investor decides we need to cut costs, and they cut half of the payroll.
Oh,
So
wow.
they dissolve like almost half, I think. My department was completely dissolved. So basically, I was doing sales, and sales went back to CEO. The CEO had to do sales. So I was like, okay, so I get laid off in December 2019. I remember being the only one in the conference room, just like kind of smiling. I'm like, I think I manifested this shit. I think I told the universe 2019, I'm not work. It's the last year I'm working for somebody else. I'm going to quit. I wasn't quitting because I was afraid, because I wasn't sure. I was already a consultant on the side. I was already a business consultant helping other people on the side of my job with business acumen. So, like marketing and value proposition, all these things, strategy specific. I was helping several friends of mine. I was like being even a bit paid there and there. But I wasn't quitting because I was scared. So then I manifested being laid off. December comes, 2020 comes, and I have a decision to make. Everybody tells me you have to get hired somewhere else. My partner, meanwhile, he got hired here in Prague, so he relocated. And he was like, come here and stay with me for a while. And I remember being so clear, like, okay, I'm going to Prague, but I'm not getting hired. I don't care. I'm not getting hired. I'm doing this thing. I'm going into my consulting full time. So I started, if you look at my business address and my email address, it's actually Anghel Consulting because I started business consulting business online. But because I was trained in psychology in school, I was a training manager, which means I had to learn how to help people learn. And because of my natural innate gifts, I've always been a very good person to hold space, to listen, to help, to see the big picture. The coaching, innating things were in me. So I became a business consultant. When people hired me in 2020 at the beginning of the year, if you go back to those clients of mine, they knew me as a consultant. But the thing is that they never called me consultant. Everyone was calling me a coach. So by the time somewhere last year, I realized, what the fuck am I saying? I'm a business coach. I'm scared of saying that, but everybody else says it because I don't do just the strategy so much as the consulting part. Meanwhile, I got certified in coaching. I learned some stuff, and I invested like my money into being trauma informed and all the things because I was like, okay, I want to make the whole thing happen besides my innate gifts. And that's how I became a coach. It wasn't something like I want to be a coach, an American thing. Well, I mean, honestly, I didn't realize until I was just in the industry looking, investing money I didn't have, money I had to make, money I had to loan to make sure I grow. And everybody I was giving my money to, I was like, oh, well, she's living in LA also. Okay. Oh, well, she's also from US. Okay. Oh, she's also. And by the time I was like, oh, wait a second. I'm like, the big things in this industry, and I've invested several tens of thousands. It's not like I just met one coach. I feel like I know a few. Like, well, most of them are white American ladies, cisgender. Maybe I should expand a bit my eyes here because it's very like,
Yeah,
girl power, boss babe, pink brand vibe. And I did. And I went to show that I was like, okay, I have to have a bit more diversity here because I don't like this. This is like, I have nothing with Americans. Like, I love my best friend. I call her my sister. I truly believe in a past life we were sisters. And I truly believe that divine brought us together. She's from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's a beautiful, blonde, blue eyed, curly blonde hair white American. Have no fucking problem. It's just like, it is true that if you pay a bit attention in the coaching industry, there is a bit of a trend. Of course, things have changed a lot since the political things in US last year, and I like this. I like seeing more people standing up. But I just noticed. I'm like, if you speak English and you're a coach, and you go for Instagram going like business coach, health coach, mindset coach, somebody who speaks English and is not using their native language to talk to a location targeted market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Most people, even if they're maybe from Australia, New Zealand, which it makes sense because they speak English, but even from Europe or Asia, other people, they choose English because it's easier to market yourself in English versus I mean, you're not. It's a choice. I didn't want to be a Romanian coach. I didn't want to be just like, I speak other languages fluently. I could have been Portuguese or Spanish or French, but I didn't want to. I wanted to speak in English.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go like for the English terms in the coaching industry, there are plenty of other non-American coaches, or when I say American, can be North American. Okay, so both Canada and US, but they're not that many, or they're not that famous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there are
Yeah.
plenty. It's just that it's not like it's not like the names, and even the ones that have been pillars in the coaching industry, even before I even knew what the fuck was that, like Marie Forleo and Tony Robbins, they are from US.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, so I'm here to be like, okay, I love it. Many of my coaches are from US, and I've had plenty of clients from US, and not that also. Like, I've actually, I think it's like it's a majority non-US people I've had all over the world, and I'm happy about that because I'm like, I want that. And one of the reasons why I was so happy to talk to you was, hey, can we? Because I feel like, especially because of the political things happening in US, which are so many and complicated, as a non-American in this industry, sometimes can be a bit like, what am I supposed to say here? Because like I resonate and I don't know what's happening, and it's not my country and I don't know all the things. It's not my lived experience. So for me, it was like, oh, maybe I should speak about my experience, because I feel like maybe there are more non-American or non-living in America coaches who have the same, like, what do I say? Because I'm like, I'm here also, but where's my place? Because it's like such a big trend in speaking about American events, but things are happening here also, like that kind of experience. I feel like I spoke for like last 20 minutes. I told you the entire career of mine, my
No,
entire CV.
I love it. You are all good, girl. I mean, like, but to your
I'm
point,
like
like,
getting hot.
get a drink, yeah. But no, to your point, like, it's absolutely right. It is like it's very common, I think, everywhere to talk about what's happening in America. And like, but the thing is, like, I had this conversation a few weeks ago with a therapist, actually, who she's a woman of color, and she even said, like, most of the education is written by like white men, and a lot of her clients who are also white men, like, she's realized white men don't benefit from the education of white men. Like, and so, like, I think there is something to like this idea of having, a coach, or having like a consultant, or having someone just outside of the world that you live in to inform you of, like, just, again, like, I mean, like me talking to you right now, just this idea of like having this perspective of a completely different life experience, because obviously, like, you didn't grow up in America, you didn't grow up with, like, and it has nothing to do with being ignorant of the events here, ignorant of the events there. It's just like, there's just, I think, like, it puts a new lens on everything, to be able to have these conversations and to be able to share these perspectives with each other. And again, just the meaning of words, having like that be completely different across borders, across, nations, across just life experiences. So
Because it is a global industry. Our
yeah.
industry, I actually haven't read the numbers recently, so I'm not sure how much is evaluated the coaching industry, but I'm pretty sure it became billions by now, if not
Mhm.
multi-millions. Like it's for sure billions by now. It's it's huge. It's growing. This is not the end of it. This is probably the path of, I hope, financial equality for women, for female identifying bodies.
Yes.
I hope that globally, but it's global. When it's global, you have to understand, like, oof, none of us is capable of holding the information of all the events in all the worlds, and none should be more important than the other. Everybody should be capable of having their own experience, having their own processing, the support they need, and also like give the benefit of doubt, like, oh, this human probably has a whole different shit they have to handle right now.
Mhm.
Oh, they have something there. And this is what I feel like the coaching industry is a bit like, because it's not regulated.
Right.
It's a not regulated industry, which is for now like, woohoo, yay. It will probably change at one point. I believe so. Of course, because it's global. Globalization made everything complicated when it comes to regulations. There's no like, it's getting complicated, right? But this is something I feel like it's a personal responsibility for each one of us. You have to take the radical ownership of being always in that mindset. And as a coach, you should be able to have that kind of gifts of understanding, uh, benefit of the doubt. I don't know enough. I don't know everything. They have their experience. Let me hold space, or not, or just simply, um, let me give them their space. I think
Mhm.
it's better said. I think in this industry, as coaches, as a lot of them are former therapists, former counselors, great. A lot of us are not. I have my own coaching experience, I have my own coaching gifts and my own coaching certifications, but I'm not trained as a counselor, therapist, etc. So I think it's very important in this global, not regulated industry to like really take ownership. There's no one here to put you in your place. There's not here to be like, you've done wrong. You kind of have to like really be willing to learn, to see, to be open, and also continuously think before you say something, because it's very easy to tweet, it's very easy to put something on Instagram, it's so easy to say things nowadays, like words lost importance somehow. Think think and you know what, like my grandma would say, like, if you have nothing smart to say, don't say, just like shut up. It's better to shut up. Now, the whole shut up is a whole pathway here. It takes me to like a different thought process in my own mind why I say this, because it also happens a lot of that. So when some people speak very loud, then others will automatically shut up because of their own trauma response, because of their own feelings, emotions. And this is where I come in this conversation, because as for me as a minority myself, because in Europe, in European Union, and the way political games have happened in the history of Europe, Romania is quite a minority. I've always been an immigrant. So anyway, but even in the coaching industry, coming as one of those few who do speak the English, who are in the English majority circle, but they are not from an English speaking country, especially not from North America, especially with the events happening in North America and US specifically in the last year, which has been taken a lot of space in the coaching industry. You also have a place to say. So I'm here also, like, I was like, okay, I want to talk to Christy, because if there's any other human being who is not from US and has felt a bit dislocated in this whole conversation, I feel you. You're not the only one. You're
Mhm.
not a horrible person because you don't know how to speak up or how to amplify the voices of human. Like, because you're not from there, it's not your job. deal with your own thing for now, because you probably have your own mess to deal with from wherever you're from.
Yeah.
Just like, but that doesn't make you less worthy. Like, oh, I'm not worthy to speak up. You can speak up. You can speak up also. Yeah, be okay to be corrected and to be called out if needed, and whatever, ideally called in versus called out. But do speak up, just because you can.
Yeah, no, like I think that's huge. Like it's scary, but it's one of those things where like you don't know until you know.
Hmm.
And so and the only way to know is to learn. And
Yeah,
so
so for me that was something last year was extremely important, and I was like, okay, I have to figure out how I say this. So now that I'm in this amazing season of my business where I'm so eager to share my story, I'm happy to talk about anything with no filter on all the beautiful platforms. And one of the things I was like, okay, I should probably say this when I talk to people if they want to talk about this topic. I'm open. Is that for me last year, um, when Black Lives Matter hit in June, I was having probably a bit more American clients than now.
okay.
Yeah, I had a bit more American clients by then. Honestly, nothing changed. It had nothing to do with that. It's just like a personal statistics. And I remember when that happened, I was a bit like, okay, what's happening here? How do I deal with this? And my first instinct, which probably sounds very bad for some people, but it was my first instinct. I was like, I I cannot handle. I mean, it's not my how do I say it? I mean, it's not mine. I don't know how to deal with this. It's like,
Right. It's not your trauma. It wasn't
it's
your
not my
like
trauma. It's not my history at all.
mhm.
At all. It's like I'm quite well educated because I chose to do so. So I mean, it wasn't like something like, oh, I had no idea what happened. I don't know at all the U.S. history. I know pieces of history. Don't ask me like all the dates, but I know things happened. I'm aware how it went and stuff like that. It wasn't like a whole new thing. But I remember I was like, oh, wait. Look, you cannot take a full step back. Are you benefiting from US people? Yes. Yes. I have coaches there. They teach me, they hold me, and I have clients pay me money in US. So I was like, wait, it's not yours to hold, but it's your job to understand this. So I got myself into like places, and I got into containers, and I tried to study, and I bought workshops about how to hold space as a white coach and all the things. I did that. I went for the whole as much as I could. Obviously, I tried to learn as much as possible. I asked my coaches for reference. I even enrolled in trauma informed the same time. I was like, okay, I want to like double down on all of these. But it also reached a moment after 6 months, and I was like, okay, I feel like I know as much as I can with ever stepping foot in US geographically, because I've never been there. I feel like I know. Okay, I think I'm okay as much as I can. I know my limits. I know how much I can hold. Great. I think I'm fine. But it also reached a moment when it was the opposite. I was like, oh wait, but I've it happened to me. I used to be in spaces where there would be guest experts on anti-racism or inclusivity, and I noticed there was a repeating pattern. They would give all this advice, and they would teach us. I would be like in different programs or different masterminds, and they would have like guest experts coming in. Beautiful. And each moment I was like, you know what, this doesn't resonate anymore. Like, I hear you and I learned this, but for me as a non-American with my history, you're not touching this. You don't speak to me. You don't think you understand me. You're telling me all the history and you're teaching me the stuff I've already read the entire summer. You're teaching me the same thing. You don't take into account my lived experience at all. You're putting a stamp on me, which is not mine. I'm not a white American cisgender woman.
Right.
That's when I started asking around, hey, anyone else like an anti-racism educator that is like European based, European history educated. I had some recommendations. I'm not gonna lie. If anybody listens to this, like, I'm one, please reach out to me. It's not like I went and screamed from the top of the world, but I did ask where I felt safe to ask. I did my Google search and stuff. I didn't, for now, I didn't find somebody who's like, okay, I can have this as a person in my corner. Because, for example, I even invested in an impact consultant at one point. I have an impact strategy in my business, a real one, which was developed with the help of a specialist in impact strategy. So I mean, I would do that. I would generally be happy to have somebody, but I reached a point I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm not gonna pay you to teach me something about US history when you completely don't understand my lived experience and my history and what has happened with me. And yes, great, I can hold space for US American people right now, but can anybody hold space for me? It sounds a bit harsh to say out loud, you know? As a woman, it's hard to say, like, what about me? But I reached a point where I was like, maybe there are more like me. Maybe there are more coaches from different parts of the world with different lived experiences, with different histories, who have the same, like, I'm not sure what to do now because, okay, yes, Black lives fucking matter. Yes. And also, more than this, can you help? How do I fit into this in a global industry? So this is my quest right now.
I love that. No,
Finding somebody who's like, okay, let's acknowledge the global industry.
Yeah.
I would love I would love if people would stop saying stuff like white, black. Can we start putting, like, because those are true labels, if you want to identify with that. But can we start putting geographical labels also?
Yeah. No,
specific ones.
Yeah, that's something that I've had this conversation with a couple people, like just the idea of just like how we label things and what it means to have those labels and also like the pressures of like not just identifying the label but then living up to the label later.
Yes.
And like and how like and you know, as far as racism and discrimination go, like I understand like the need for those things, but at the same time it can be, as much as it can be validating to have those labels, it can also be very limiting sometimes.
Yes.
So
And it's like coaching industry became a place where, like, cancel culture is kind of becoming a thing, if it's not already a thing. Like, and who's like, who speaks louder than the others? But I can guarantee you, plenty of people don't speak up at all because they don't feel safe, because there's all this big noise, like all the, unfortunately true, all the fucking white privilege and all the white urgency, all the stuff. True. Absolutely true. All the anti-racism work, the amazing melanated people who are speaking up. But also it's like, hey, there's so many other people from other cultures who don't speak up because they don't have the space, or they don't feel safe because it's so loud, this conversation, and it's not the nicest or sometimes it's not done in the best way, in the most how do you say it, constructive way.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not restorative, it's just like,
yeah,
to the point that, okay, and for the others who don't identify with neither, it's almost like, well, okay, I'm just going to shut up and continue doing my sales posts on Instagram. Which is also complicated, because sometimes if you do that, you can also be called in like, hey, but why are you still selling? And it's like, well, it's not my fight to fight.
Yeah.
They never happened to me, but I've seen it happen to other people.
Yeah. Well, there's always a question of like, you know, how do you show support without being, it's like, how do you show support? How do you be an ally without being performative? But also, like, if you don't feel like that is your space to enter in, like, is it like it should be okay to just be able to take yourself out of it?
Yes, exactly. It should be okay. It should be okay to. It should be one of the choices to take yourself out of it, to not speak out by choice, not because you cannot or because you're afraid or because you don't have a space or the platform, just because you generally don't, you decide not to speak out because it's not your conversation to be had.
Right. No, like, and I think there's something powerful in being able to acknowledge that like I can be there as a witness to what's happening, like, but I don't feel like I'm enough a part of either community to speak on behalf of anyone, or like it's not like I think it's interesting because I've like again, this is also a conversation I've had with people, just this idea of like, you know, as much as I want to hold space, like I don't know if I can.
Which is a beautiful thing to say. I mean, I'm all about self-awareness. I believe you have to have self-awareness, especially as a business owner. I don't care if you're a coach or not, but especially as a coach or business owner on a service-based um, business model that serves humans.
Mhm.
So having a kind of self-awareness, knowing like, I don't know if I can, beautiful, then don't. Because that's how harm is created.
Mhm.
Don't. I have it comes to my mind the example like I have because I work also with newbies, like people, women who want to, because I work with female trailblazers, but I also work with the ones who are trailblazers but are not yet having any business, so they're just starting out. And sometimes I get this question like, Raluca, but how do I know if I cross the line? I'm like, you'll know if you cross the line. I like to believe if you work with me, you're freaking golden, you're heart centered, you're purpose driven, you're impact focused, you'll know when you're out of integrity. It's just like some coach, as a coach, you shouldn't hold space. As a standard coach, you shouldn't hold space for anything like mental disorder. You
Mhm.
shouldn't. You're not equipped for that. You didn't do that. Don't. An example. So I always tell them like when you're integrity, you're self-aware, you're gonna know when you're like, this is not my thing. I think it's the same with anti-racism. You
Mhm.
should be aware like, oh, am I reactive here and just trying to like, is my trauma response getting on? I'm just trying to say something to save myself, or just like generally be like, oh, okay, I'm responding to this by choosing not to be a part of because I don't want to create more harm than helping.
Yeah. No, and I think I like again, I believe that that can be just as powerful because like there are spaces and there are dialogues which I've seen like which I have witnessed and I actually told my roommate just last night because she was asking me like had I heard this news story and I told her like honestly like yes like I'm aware of the headlines and I'm aware of what's happening like but since it's not my lived experiences, so I feel like the only way to learn about it is to take advantage of people who are willing to tell their stories in those spaces, and I don't feel like I can hold space for that right now because I have other traumas that I'm dealing with. And there are other things that like I'm dealing with in my own anti-racism space, and it's not that I don't want to witness it and I want to be ignorant of it. It's just that like it's not a conversation that I want to put like I don't want to put the pressure on anyone else to have to educate me on it.
Yes, I hear you.
And I don't want to like it's not a space that I want to hold for myself right now because I am dealing with other things and if you want me to speak on those things I can. Like but in this space where we're talking about this current event like I will be informed about it and that's fine but I don't like necessarily like that I'm not in that headspace to be a part of that conversation in that way right now.
And I mean, I so celebrate and honor you for saying that. And I want every single human being to reach that self-awareness level where it's okay for anybody watching, listening to this, it's okay to be in that place. You don't have to be the hero.
Yeah.
You shouldn't try to be the hero. Heroes don't try to be heroes. Go and read your favorite fairy tale since you were a child. Heroes don't try to be heroes. Okay. So if you're trying, that's your cue to stop. If you're like watching something happening on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, a comment, a thread, and you're like, what do I post here? Don't.
Yeah.
Don't. Go
Yeah.
back in. figure out yourself, because so many, and it's okay. That's okay. That's okay for you to deal with your own, cater to yourself first. Put your
Mm-hmm.
own oxygen mask first. See what's happening to your trauma. Because
Mm-hmm.
what happens with this kind of traumatic events, what they do, they have a reaction in all the other humans as well in their own way, even if it wasn't necessarily because of the same lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma doesn't work like that. So us seeing these horrible situations, even if we don't identify as at all the lived experience or with the specific group of people, you can have your own trauma who gets activated because of what you're seeing, which means you have to be aware of, I have to cater to myself
Mm-hmm.
first.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes it's just not even that. Sometimes it's just like, it's not your thing. You don't know about this. It's not your journey. What I want is to see in this global industry more people of more nationalities being those top million, 7, 8 figures earners. I want that. I want them to have the money. I want to see other humans that are not in the typical common countries, so UK, Canada, Australia, US, mainly US. I'm actually thinking my mind right now. I'm speaking if I know any millionaire in the coaching industry. When I say millionaire, it's because, like, just because you're a 7-figure, you never know. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever. Let's say you have the number 7 on your Instagram bio, like, ooh, yay, great. I actually right now cannot think, and I'm thinking of like at least 50 in my mind. I cannot think of anybody who's like not from US.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe of somebody from Canada. I'm happy there's some, but I'm not sure because she doesn't have the 7 on her Instagram, so I'm not sure. I don't know. But anyway, my point is that I want to see more, and I want also those ones who hold the majority of the market shares, who hold the money, because I know for a fact a lot of those women, because I've been in those groups and I've met non-Americans. You have plenty of people who pay you who are not from US. So
Mm-hmm.
please speak to those also in your marketing.
Yeah.
Please do both. You
Mm-hmm.
can do both. I trust you can do both. Please do
Yeah.
both. Otherwise, I'm going to use something quite common, use this industry. Don't take the money.
Right.
Don't take the money. If you cannot hold space for non-US American people, don't hold the fucking money. Don't take the money. Don't hold
Mm-hmm.
space for anything who's like European, Central, South American, Oceania, nothing. Asia, don't. Um, it's just like, it's just something that has been on my heart. It's not easy to talk about this at all, absolutely at all.
No, for sure.
But it's like something has been on my heart because I see it over and over and over. I have and I'm grateful. I don't have a huge audience. I don't have a huge platform. I'm not making the 7 figures,
Not yet.
but not yet. That's for sure. But I do have in my women all over the world. I'm very happy and very proud to say that. It's something that to me has proven I didn't necessarily aim for that. Like when I started my business, I just wanted to make some money. I didn't quite care. I was like, I'll be integrity, but where you're coming from, as long as we speak English to each other, we understand each other, I'll be happy to help you. But I'm happy the marketing and the way I'm doing my business and the way I show up has attracted people of different cultures and different backgrounds. That makes me genuinely happy.
Okay, well to that, like let's just as kind of like a wrap up, what kind of perspective and what do you feel in your coaching is the most beneficial to your clients? Is it just this idea that you're not, that you have this other lived experience, or what exactly would you say is the most beneficial thing to your clients?
Hmm. The most beneficial things to my clients. It's definitely a cumulative. It's a sum of things for sure, but the lived experience helps a lot. It's one of them because I truly can hold space for different lived experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that has helped a lot. It's not something I don't, if you go on my Instagram, it's not, you're not going to see that I promote that. It's something that comes across. It comes across, and because I lead with my heart and the way I am, I've noticed it was actually something I've noticed I'm doing. It wasn't even a plan. I was like, oh, I'm actually doing this. I'm holding space for this because of my own background, because of where I came, because of my issues, because of my history, because of the history of my people, because of this discrimination I faced, because of all the things I was able until now to hold space for several nationalities from several parts of the world. Um, Quite successful. There's always place to grow, but this is one of, I mean, it's one of the things. It's one of the things that my clients benefit the most. It's just this. I'm really good at giving. I'm really good at holding space, a super loving, safe space. Something my clients and my audience, and even my clients, just audience, they have always reached out to me. There are two common things they always tell. One is like, oh my God, you're so authentic. Like you are like a, I love this when they say this. I was like, what? I remember I was even called a few times like, oh, you're like a fresh breath of air in this industry. You're so authentic because I'm sharing all my good and my bad, all of it. And two, I'm so loving. So I feel like those two together, being so authentic and being truly loving, like I'm leading with my heart all the time, has automatically translated. And also having my knowledge and being now consciously, I want to hold space for more nationalities and in more people identifying in different ways. That's definitely one of the biggest pluses in my business, because I'm not saying I get you, because that's not true, but I'm committed to create the safest space I can. And I'm also focused on all of the people, not only a specific demographic. And I will probably focus even more on especially the opposite with time passing. I think like that's a natural path that my business is going towards.
I love that. I love that. Um, so just to expand on that and just to kind of close this out, what are the key things you hope your clients take away from your coaching?
Self-awareness. I teach self-awareness. So when you're in my space, if you pay me high ticket and you're my very few private coaches, or if you're in my flagship program, which is the Golden World, which will grow a lot, will be the place to be, because it was like a membership. So it's a lower ticket. Again, inclusivity, because nobody affords your
Yeah,
high
accessibility.
rate. Like nobody affords your high ticket stuff in Eastern Europe, huh? Just
Hmm.
saying. Like somebody paying you 50 euros for something in Eastern Europe, it's a lot of money. That's how
Hmm.
much money. Like that's how much money. It's probably half of my grandma's retirement. 50 euros.
Oh, wow.
Just like an FYI, huh? So
Yeah.
the minimum salary in Portugal is 500 euros. The 500 euros is around $600. If you're charging 1,000 per month, the typical standard, yeah, no, nobody can pay you that. Just FYI. So in my programs, though, regardless how much high touch you have to me, which is something I'm always trying to give a lot of high touch, because I love being in there with the people. The way I've developed my methodology, I call it the golden methodology, of course, which is based strategy, pleasure, mindset, energetics. But the way I've done it, I'm actually still working on it continuously. Like, how do I make everything, all the modules, how do I make them with questions that they can ask for themselves? So I want every single human being, that's my dream, that when you do a module of mine, when you're in the golden world, you don't leave with like, okay, great. So I have step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to do this, and I'll have my sales funnel, I'll have my launch plan. No, I want you to have the questions to ask yourself for you, because the answer is in you. So I celebrate every single client as unique. You are unique, Christy, and I'm unique. We're different. So I don't have the same things for everybody. And self-awareness comes from that. Like I want every single person to be so self-aware of what they need, how do they want to do it, etc., etc., etc. And this is truly my mission to help people become self-aware, because I don't care about you spending all your money with me forever and I give you all the answers. It's not the thing. I want you to become the person who's so self-aware on all the things, holistically, personally and professionally, that knows what they need in the moment.
Great. That's amazing. So with all that said, how do people find you? How do they like, what is your program? How do they look you up?
So I am an Instagram gal. This is where you can find me at raluca.thegoldenbizcoach. Just put the Golden Biz Coach or the Golden Coach. There's nobody else. I promise. I checked. My thing, trademarked. I'm golden. So yeah, or Raluca. Also, not very many people in the industry with this name. And on Instagram, you can find all details. You can reach out to me via DM. I take very few private coaching clients. Right now, I have free spots available. That's where I take in 6 months because I work with female trailblazers that are having service-based, personal brand-based businesses, not only coaching. Coaching is one of them. It's quite common. Up to 6 figures, right? So I'm going to help you up to 6 figures and become the person who can actually hold that life. So it's not only about making the money, but actually holding the whole life itself with a kind of business model. So that's my private coaching. The Golden World, it's my flagship program. It works like a membership. And that's where you can join from next month on. I'm going to have a launch for it. For now, it's just like founders edition. So you would have to DM me and see if you apply for that. And that's the place to be. I call it mastermind meets membership, because mastermind vibe, but with a membership price. And sisterhood meets knowledge, because sisterhood and knowledge, I have all my fucking brain downloaded into modules there. And you have me in group coaching calls. So those are the 2 ways to work with me. Mainly, there's usually some. I have free masterclasses every month as well. So you can like just join a free masterclass to see how you are in my golden bubble. And any questions, I'm a DM away on Instagram.
Amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. This was an amazing conversation. Like this was I know you said you didn't expect anything to go like the certain parts to go the way they did, but I'm glad. I'm so thankful for you for being so open and candid, and just yeah, thank you so much. This was great.
It was really great. And I know when it's great because I usually don't get ever red or flustered ever. I don't have that. I'm like, oh, like Zoom and MacBook doesn't have the best quality video, thank God, because like I'm red. So I
Oh
know,
no, you look gorgeous. You're
and that's how I know it's a good conversation. Because I feel like it's like I channel,
yeah.
Like, so it's like, whew. Thank you so much, Chris. This has been amazing. I felt truly heard and safe to speak about quite some delicate topics. So thank you so much for holding the space for me and sharing your platform with me. I truly appreciate it.
I'm glad. Thank you so much. The biggest shout out thank you to Raluca for allowing me to talk about these things with her. And I'm so glad that I was able to provide this safe space for her to share her feelings and her thoughts. And I'm so thankful for you all for joining us and also opening this space in your hearts to have these conversations. So if you want to know more about Raluca and her business coaching, or just, to have more conversations with her like this, you can find her on Instagram. I'll have all of her information in the show notes, in the captions, and on my social media page. So definitely go and check those out. And once again, thank you so much for sipping with us. And I can't wait to sip with you again next week. Bye.